Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder, to a blast from the past, because today we were playing the Prinz Eugen, or rather, I played in July 2023. This is an old recording, and it has been sitting there on my, let's say, footage ready rack for quite a while. And I earn an absurd amount of civilians, but that's besides the point. Because I was looking at the footage again, and I actually vividly remember this battle, and I was thinking to myself, man, I had a better feeling back then. And the first time I came across this issue of that it feels more rewarding shooting at other ships with guns, well, the first time I came across this problem was this patch, because even the super cruisers at 7.0, name them Scharnhorst, name them Kronstadt, Alaska, you know what I mean, they don't seem to bite into enemy ships anymore as they used to, and they're only bearable because of their high rate of fire in comparison to battleships that have 30 seconds. It's a completely different thing to use a Marot and drop sap nukes on enemy cruisers, but I hope you know what I'm talking about. And I kind of don't feel the reward, if you will, for having big guns. They seem more like a downside these days. But coming back to cruisers, I have a particular weakness for the Prinz Eugen. The premium Hipper class that just does its job, and it's still strong, and it still features a lot of good combinations. And the battle rating sometimes was 6.0 between certain patches, but then got always back to 5.7. And you know, that has to do with the very different environment that you find yourself when you play something with 6.0, because you very often have then to fight 7.0s. And whereas when you play a 5.7, you then get still a lot of down tiers versus destroyers and versus light cruisers. And while you are not immune to them in the Prinz Eugen, you sure as a hell are some great threat to them. Let's quickly summarize the Prinz Eugen. And it is like a Swiss knife, because it has basically everything that you need. It might not be the single best in any given category, but the combination is just so good, and there are many examples in certain categories where, you know, other ships are worse. But the crown jewel of the ship are obviously its main battery. We have 4 twin 203mm -60 SK C34 guns with enough ammunition. We have a 12-second reload, and they are well protected, the barbettes as well as the turrets as well as the magazine, and I will come to this in a moment. But you also have really good AP, you have really good SAP, and you have capable HE as far as capabilities of HE go. But further, you have some decent AA. You don't have radar, you don't have proxy fuse, but you have a lot of single 40mm Bofors, which just do the job enough, and you can't get spammed with as much HE as to lose all of them. And so you always have some sort of reasonable protection versus aircraft. And then you have torpedoes, overall 26, of which 12 are already sitting in 2 triple launchers per side with really good firing angles, and then obviously up to 14 reloads. So while they are not the strongest torpedoes, the long lances are better. You just have better firing angles than the Japanese cruisers. You can also switch between a long range setting and a short range setting, the short range then being really fast. And while the single torpedo hasn't the biggest warhead, you have enough of them to be a threat to everything. And you know, your secondaries, or the heavy AA, it's not the capability of as of the 5-inch 38, but when you load the AP on those, you are the strongest in your class, in my opinion, and you can actually threaten destroyers to additionally damage them, to really give them the last few percentages. And it just kind of shell shocks them in between the salvos of your main battery, which again is pretty nice with 12 seconds. I just love blowing up destroyers. Now, this seems like a little bit of a turkey shoot, but back in the days, it's July 2023, and I already call it back in the days. Oh boy. Yeah, but actually, it felt so much more powerful and just juicy and rewarding and fun to play a ship like this. I'm not saying it's bad, but it has dropped off a little bit. You don't feel it as much because you still have those soft skinned destroyers to shoot that at 5.7, which I myself like to do. But I cannot, I can imagine the frustration if you're in your Frank Knox and you think to yourself, haha, today I make money, and then I spawn and you're like, nope, not in this battle. So that is just the ship. Now, I want to have a quick glance then at the armor of the ship. And the belt is only 80 millimeters thick, but you have an additional 40 millimeter turtleback at a reasonable angle. And the combined thickness as well as the gap between the belt and the turtleback either make the shells not go through at all, or it explodes in the space between the two, and you have a little bit of some sort of black armor experience, let's put it that way. And you know, there are ships like the Grafspee that has 100 millimeter thick belt, but it doesn't have a turtleback. There are the light cruisers from the British with up to 114 millimeter. Hell, you can go to then the likes of the Des Moines, which has nearly what is it? I think it had nearly 6 inches. Well, it was 147 millimeters, so just shy of 6 inches of armor. And you can go to the Italian, I think it's the Sarah class, and yeah, the RN Polar is, for example, the 5.7 ship that on paper looks similar, and it has the thickest belt of any heavy cruiser with 150 millimeters. But here's the difference. While it has more armor, it doesn't have the rate of fire, it doesn't have the secondaries, it doesn't have the AA, it has no torpedoes. It's just 1 kilometer per hour slower, but again, already this ship has, I think, a 17-second reload on its main battery, which for me is unacceptable, because it only has 8 guns. But here is another thing, and that is probably the biggest difference to the Japanese cruisers, which have literally 1 inch of armor. If you compare here the Mikuma or the Mogami or the Susuya as the ships with either the 6.1 inch or 155 millimeter guns, or on the Mogami you have 20 centimeter guns, but you have also 12 seconds to reload. You have the stronger torpedoes, but with much worse firing angles, you know, from like 90 degrees onwards to actually where you have to cut in order to drop the torps. And you just don't have the same levels of effective protection. Whereas, you know, under a lot of pressure from, for example, destroyers, the Hipper class stays in the fight. It still can continuously dish out the hard-hitting shells. And the Italian and the Japanese heavy cruisers don't have SAP. And so this ship is just very dangerous at sniping at distance, even though it doesn't have the highest pen for AP. It's still strong. But for example, the Americans have with the USS Northampton AP that penetrates more, but it doesn't have the same boom and not the same DPM. So it's just like a Swiss knife where you have all that you need in a good package, where it's really dangerous if you give it to somebody who knows how to aim, who knows how to angle, who knows what to fight to pick and which one not. And this makes the ship very enjoyable. And to boil it all down, right, to give you the effective statement at 10 minutes into the video, this ship rewards careful aim, and careful shooting. You have everything that you need to make it work, and when it works, it feels satisfying, and this is what I like. I can't stand battleships if the guns don't work, or they have a stupidly long reload. I can't stand ships that are outmatched, where they are at the wrong battle rating in a constant up tier. And I think that this is one of the nice overall experience, and I always felt a certain level of satisfaction when then I had a good impact in the battle. So let's rewind quickly to what actually happened in this battle so far. I was spawning late in order to be not the first one to spawn, therefore not the first one to get targeted. When I was under pressure, I angled away, I kited away, I reduced the effectiveness of the incoming fire, be it HE hitting at all, or the AP then, as we before described, having thicker armor to go through, angled armor, and also then the detonation, if it goes through the belt, happening in the room between just the belt and the turtleback, where it doesn't do any sort of reasonable damage. And this is where the ship also allowed me to stay in the fight and to get to B with the ship itself, not with the also available catapult fighter, which would have allowed me to, well, at least decap it. And also this catapult fighter, this is another bonus, it has the most firepower of any catapult fighter in War Thunder so far. And so you can fight other other catapult fighters when you just engage them when fighting over a cap. On certain maps that actually can be the case. So this ship in summary is dangerous as a sniper because it has some really good firepower, and it has a lot of penetration. Again, not the most overall, but enough to pose a threat to anything, including pre-dreadnoughts and some unfortunate battle cruisers. Hell, I could even damage some battleships. I wouldn't count on it, but it's a possibility. And this guy was really lucky to not explode. And I see the torpedoes launch. I hope that my heavy AA can bridge the time gap, but it's sadly not the case. We dodged some torpedoes. Rear turrets. Well, at least we put in some damage. So now there are some destroyers, and usually they are dangerous because they just can go around an island and then drop a lot of torpedoes. But the ship is maneuverable enough that on especially my favorite map, which is African coast in domination mode, you know, to dodge some of the torpedoes. And this ship is large enough that it can soak up some damage just by sheer volume. But also, by the way, I deployed just a smoke screen so that when I get shot from the rear, the fire isn't as accurate and I can concentrate hopefully on those destroyers, which I now need to make a drive-by essentially in the island gap. I see the torpedo and I eyeball that I'm fast enough to dodge it, but this Moffat will not have a good time. And a single turret is enough to take it out. That's only 7 kills, but they were important. And I had games where I killed up to 15 enemy players. You know, this was also the time when there were not that many bots around, if at all. It just worsened in the 1.5 years. And you know, it's more fun to fight players. The kills are more rewarding, and well, it's just a better experience after all. So yeah, I absolutely like this ship. I love its style. I love its appearance, its performance. It's I would say it's not overpowered, but it is something that you absolutely have to respect. And let me know in the comment section what ships you wanna see from time to time, because oh, watch this. Oh my god. Those are the snipes. Those are the snipes that just are so hippery. So here I decide now to repair because I see the aircraft incoming and I need maximum capability from my AA. So oh, it doesn't go for me. And yeah, we had a lot of impact with the ship in this match, and I couldn't show everything. Now I take over the AA manually, and sadly, well, we killed this guy after the match was over. I counted +1, and if you have noted already, the kills were really valuable, and so with a big booster we made 1.1 million and lots of RP, lots of the golden medals. It's great. And this was the experience 1 year ago, or 1.5 years. Let me know in the comment section what you think about it. Please give this video a like with it, and as usual, we'll see each other on the battlefields, in the skies, and on the waves of War Thunder.